Hello, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comic Book Cafe. Today we're going to talk about the brand new issue that just came out, Batman and the Red Robin, number 19. Well, it's Batman and Red Robin. I don't want to call it dub. Anyway, number 19, which is the Dark Knight's new partner, Carrie Kelley. So basically, the book starts off showing Carrie just for a second. No, nothing really spectacular or important about it. Just her doing Shakespeare. And then we go into her knocking on the Wayne Manor, basically wondering if anybody's there, asking for Damien because she was obviously tutoring him. And this is the first time Bruce Wayne becomes aware that that there was something in his son's life he wasn't aware of. And so him and Alfred are in the limo, and you see Carrie having a party, and he's dwelling on the fact that he didn't know this thing about Damien, and Alfred points out, don't we all have something that's just ours in our life? And but it's funny because the first time he meets her at this party, which is a dress-up party, she's dressed up as Robin, which is the ironically funny part, of course. And he basically, gives her the books back that she was during tutoring, and thanks her. And then she all of a sudden, as he's leaving, realizes and asks the question, "Where's Damien?" And he tells Alfred to get out there right now because clearly he doesn't want to deal with that. Now, at this point, right now, Bruce Wayne / Batman, he's really on the edge because he lost Damien. He's willing to do almost anything to bring him back to life. And so what happens is, at this point in the comic, you see Frankenstein, ironically enough, and he fights creatures of evil now. He's a good guy. And Bruce Wayne wants to find him because he wants to find out how to bring back Damien back to life or reanimate him. So he finds the Frankenstein, and Frankenstein and him have a disagreement. Frankenstein doesn't want anything else to be brought back to life like him, doesn't want anything to be like him, so he refuses to do it, and Batman subdues him. And Batman, why he's fighting, basically talks about, I have to do everything to bring back my son. Can you imagine what it's like for your son to be killed by his own mother? And Frankenstein points out that at one point he had to kill his own son to save to save the son's mother, and eventually the son came back to life again, and the mother had to kill the son. So he told him he understood it, but he wouldn't let him do it. But Batman eventually subdues him, takes him to his place, and is taking him apart, experimenting on him, trying to learn what to do to bring his son back to life, or Damien back to life. And at this point, Albert had called Nightwing to come in because he's not, he understands Bruce is not right. There's something wrong with Bruce right now. And Nightwing shows up, sees Frankenstein across the table, and totally disagrees with what Batman's doing, and basically, is interfering with it, and Batman gets upset. But eventually, while they're having their little conflict, eventually Frankenstein, little known to him, had a ship and destroys the lab. And so then Robin tells Batman at the end, or Nightwing, tells Batman at the end, I hope you understand. And then as he says under, Batman leaves. And that's what that situation is left. At the very end, they showed Carrie Kelley, and and she talks about Damien a little more, how he was a natural, which she was tutoring him at, and they were talking about how she's the only person, her roommate and her were talking about how she's the only person she knows who pays her rent. And she goes, well, I'm going to need a bodyguard because she only asked Damien $1,000 and Bruce Wayne gives her $10,000. But at the very end, the most interesting part of the comic book is the news story. They talk about the people on Bruce Wayne Inc.'s payroll who are superheroes, and then the rumors are that there's a new female Robin, and that's how they leave the comic book. So again, I know the stories, I know I've read about this, is that the guy who's writing this said that, Frank Miller there was only that version of this female Robin, and he says this character is going to be exactly like that female Robin. So it'll be interesting how this comic goes. It was just more or less a setup comic. She's not Robin yet, but we all know she's going to be. So guys, now it's time to show you the comic book. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay guys, so here's what the cover obviously looks like. Is the Dark Knight's new partner, and then of course you turn the cover, and it shows of course Carrie Kelley. Now, when I was at my comic book store getting this today, this is the last copy that they had currently had out, that had completely already sold out. So, let me see. So this is basically the part where she first meets Bruce Wayne. She's wearing a Robin costume. Ironically enough, she's at a party. And the only part I want to show is here's what Frankenstein looks like. A funny character considering the mythos of Frankenstein, in the past, just I didn't realize he was in the DC universe. So at least that then, and then later on we go on, and I had it and I lost it. And here's the part where basically, Nightwing is completely shocked to see what Batman is doing to Frankenstein. And here's where he has Frankenstein taken apart. And here's the part where basically, you can clearly see the tension between the two, that they no longer agree with what the other one is doing. And then this is just the end. And then next, the very last part is, of course, the news part, and this is it. And they basically, obviously, Quinn, and then they talk about the new Robin. I do like the artwork in this book. To be honest with you, it was really good artwork. It'll be interesting what they do with this character. How they're going to portray her. When's she actually going to become Robin? How long they're going to let this thing drag out? But just thought I'd show you guys a little bit of the comic book. And hopefully see you guys another time for Comic Book Cafe. Bye for now.